at the trajectory of where Ukraine was before February 24th, 2022. Look at where their territory was. Look at where the fighting was. Look at the political capital that had been expended up to that point. And now look at where it is. You can't reverse the trajectory of this. It's bad for Ukraine. And I said from the day one is that the longer this goes on, there's going to be only two outcomes: less territory for Ukraine and less able-bodied men in the population. They're sacrificing their male population and territory because for Russia, it's a national security imperative. And if attacks are coming from deep inside Western Ukraine or Poland or whatever, just as the U.S. would do if this was happening in Texas or Mexico, they'd have to push that line of the security envelope further and further in order to neutralize the threat and create a buffer zone. And you can't negotiate a ceasefire. Russia is very specific about political objectives. And so that political conversation is not happening. I don't hear it from Washington. I don't hear it definitely not from Europe. They haven't addressed any of Russia's initial concerns when this all kicked off, which is the demilitarization. They're not going to allow Ukraine to be used as a militarized cudgel against the Russian Federation, plus the proliferation, the funding of Nazi militants, tracing its genealogy right back to the Waffen-SS, funded by Europe and the United States. These are real Nazis. And then just basically the entire security architecture of the Black Sea, of Europe as well. This has to be basically agreed on again, because you also have all these lapsed missile agreements like the ABM Treaty, the INF Treaty, all these Cold War era disarmament or nuclear forces agreements between the East and the West. Those are all gone. So this is massively dangerous period in history. This is why Russia has been clamoring to basically for asking the West they need to stop. Otherwise, that Russia's going to have to push harder, because for them, it's an existential issue. It's not for Britain. It's not for the United States. And quite frankly, it's not for Western Europe either. The idea that that Putin, if he's not stopped in Ukraine, he's going to roll all the way to, Calais, is patently ridiculous. When you have Estonia and countries like this leading the foreign policy conversation, these are sort of irrelevant former, Soviet bloc countries, Kalis, talking about breaking up Russia into smaller countries. So when Moscow hears that, imagine if that was Mexico and China talking about breaking up the United States to make it less aggressive and less belligerent, and then we'll be able to control it and then take their resources. This is what European bureaucrats are saying publicly. It's a non-starter for Russia.